Dictation 15. Ready? Life in this philosophy is a continuous stream in which all divisions are artificial and unreal. Separate things, beginnings and endings, are mere convenient fictions. There is only smooth, unbroken transition. The beliefs of today may count as true today if they carry us along the stream, but tomorrow they will be false and must be replaced by new beliefs to meet the new situation. All our thinking consists of convenient fictions, imaginary congealings of the stream. Reality flows on in spite of all our fictions, and though it can be lived, it cannot be conceived in thought. Somehow, without explicit statement, the assurance is slipped in that the future, though we cannot foresee it, will be better than the past or the present. The reader is like the child which expects a sweet because it has been told to open its mouth and shut its eyes. Logic, mathematics, physics disappear in this philosophy because they are too static. What is real is no impulse and movement towards a goal which, like the rainbow, recedes as we advance and makes every place different when it reaches it from what it appeared to be at a distance. I do not propose to enter upon a technical examination of this philosophy. I wish only to maintain that the motives and interests which inspire it are so exclusively practical, and the problems with which it deals are so special that it can hardly be regarded as touching any of the questions that to mind constitute genuine philosophy. The predominant interest of evolutionism is in the question of human destiny, or at least of the destiny of life. It is more interested in morality and happiness than in knowledge for its own sake. It must be admitted that the same may be said of many other philosophies, and that a desire for the kind of knowledge which philosophy can give is very rare. But if philosophy is to attain truth, it is necessary first and foremost that philosophers should acquire the disinterested intellectual curiosity which characterizes the genuine man of science. Knowledge concerning the future, which is the kind of knowledge that must be sought if we are to know about human destiny, is possible within certain narrow limits. It is impossible to say how much the limits may be enlarged with the progress of science, but what is evident is that any proposition about the future belongs by its subject matter to some particular science, and is to be ascertained, if at all, by the methods of that science. Philosophy is not a shortcut to the same kind of results as those of the other sciences. If it is to be a genuine study, it must have a province of its own, and aim at results which the other sciences can neither prove nor disapprove. Evolutionism, in basing itself upon the notion of progress, which is change from the worse to the better, allows the notion of time, as it seems to me, to become its tyrant rather than its servant, and thereby loses the impartiality of contemplation, which is the source of all that is best in philosophical thought and feeling. Metaphysicians as we saw, have frequently denied altogether the reality of time. I do not wish to do this. I wish only to preserve the mental outlook which inspired the denial, the attitude which in thought regards the past as having the same reality as the present and the same importance as the future. In so far, says Spinoza, as the mind conceives a thing according to the dictate of reason, it will be equally affected whether the idea is that of a future, past, or present thing. It is thing conceiving according to this dictate of reason that I find lacking in the philosophy which is based on evolution. Mysticism maintains that all evil is illusory and sometimes maintains the same view as regards goods, but more often holds that reality is good. Both views are to be found in Heraclitus. Good and ill are one, he says, but again, to God all these things are fair and good and right, but men hold some things wrong and some right. A similar twofold position is to be found in Spinoza, but he uses the word perfection when he means to speak of the good that is not merely human. By reality and perfection, I mean the same thing, he says, but elsewhere we find the definition by good I shall mean that which we are certainly know to be useful to us. Thus, perfection belongs to reality in its own nature, but goodness is relative to ourselves and our needs, and disappears in an impartial survey. Some such distinction, I think, is necessary in order to understand the ethical outlook of mysticism. There is a lower mundane kind of good and evil which divides the world of appearance into what seem to be conflicting parts. But there is also a higher mystical kind of good which belongs to reality and is not opposed by any correlative kind of evil. It is difficult to give a logically tenable account of this position without recognizing that good and evil are subjective, that what is good is merely that towards which we have one kind of feeling, and what is evil is merely that towards which we have another kind of feeling. In our active life, where we have to exercise choice and to prefer this to that of two possible acts, it is necessary to have a distinction of good and evil, or at least of better and worse. But this distinction, like everything pertaining to action, belongs to what mysticism regards as the world of illusion, if only because it is essentially concerned with time in our contemplative life, where action is not called for. It is possible to be impartial and to overcome the ethical dualism which action requires. So long as we remain merely impartial, we may be content to say that both the good and the evil of action are illusions. But as we must do if we have the mystic vision, we find the whole world worthy of love and worship. If we see the earth and very common sight, we shall say that there is a higher good than that of action, and that this higher good belongs to the world as it is in reality. In this way, the twofold attitude and the apparent vacillation of mysticism are explained and justified. The possibility of this universal love and joy in all that exists is of supreme importance for the conduct and happiness of life. Finished.